Hello and welcome to a buildingSMART webinar. This webinar is part of the buildingSMART Virtual Summit for Spring 2022. Thank you for joining us today. My name is John Proctor and I will be your moderator. Details of today's webinar are on the screen. This is the second session from the product room. The title of today's presentation is Product Data Information and BIM. And we are very pleased to have the Product Room Steering Committee member, Magdalena Pyszkowski, available to present to us today this use case from Knauf. The webinar is scheduled to last for an hour, and there will be a short question and answer session at the end. The webinar is being recorded and will be made available in the replay section of the event within the next 24 hours. Before I hand over to Magda, I'd like to remind you that your phone lines will remain muted for the duration of the webinar. If you have any questions or wish to make comments, please use the comments box in the control panel on the right side of your screen. So any questions or comments, which we'll take at the end of the presentation, please add into the comments box. I'd also like to bring to your attention the information that is on the screen now. buildingSMART is committed to ensuring that participation in the development of standards is unrestricted and the process for their adoption is transparent, and that standards that are developed do not favour any particular provider, but are open, non-binding, and accessible to all. Please take note of our antitrust code of conduct. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Magda. Bring your slides up, Magda. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, John, for this introduction. Welcome to everyone to this presentation of product data information and BIM. I will start with some giving you some details about myself and also about my activities. So I'm Magda Pyszkowski. I am civil engineer by the background, and I have also experience and master in digital transformation. So the topics of BIM and construction sectors are my topics. I was working for 19 years already in the construction industry, mostly in the international companies, building construction companies in France. Now I'm joined since 3 years the manufacturing company, which is part of the big group, it's Knauf Insulation. I'm also the author of the book, co-author of Construction of the Data of BIM, and I'm part of the different associations that are working around this topic about product data information and BIM. So I'm representing EURIMA, which is European Insulation Manufacturer Association. I'm part of the Digital Supply Chain in Built Environment initiative. I will give you some details after on. And I'm also part from last year buildingSMART Polska and steering committee of buildingSMART International. So this is about myself. I'm really trying to focus, on the digitalization of the sector of the construction and bring my knowledge and I think I didn't click on the good one, competences and interest on this topic. So just about group, Knauf Insulation is part of the Knauf group, and we are really working on the developing and selling the product of the insulation. So we are a worldwide company, and we are really focusing on different aspects of the building. So that's why there is interest also to work on BIM. So we are providing the products and system for the building envelope, roofs, industrial and residential, for all of the internal partition with the focus on the sound and thermal insulation, and all of the insulation for the industrial use. And we have different technology, which is a mineral wool, but it would be based on glass, rock, or wood. So this is like an introduction about company. Okay, and what is important that, as I mentioned already, I'm part of the Digital Supply Chain Initiative in Built Environment, which is already launched since 2019. We have the presentation last year on the buildingSMART International Summit also to talk about this, to give you some ideas. But I think it's really important that you know about this, because this is the initiative which combine the knowledge of standards from GS1 and standards of BSI. So there is already collaboration working. Our group, we are about 180 people focusing on the reduction of the cost of the building greener. Also every action must be focused on the using of the standards. And the idea is really to develop a clear value proposition for the manufacturers and contractors to start going fully digital. And this is our goal. We are working in the different subgroups, and I have the pleasure to lead one of the subgroup, which is subgroup focus on the use cases Yeah. If you want to know more about this initiative, I would like to invite you to read the white paper that we released already 2 years ago, and we have also some short brochure just to explaining our objective, or better, it's just to contact myself that I can give you more information. So our subgroup 3, which is focused on the use cases, is composed from the different experts, international experts representing whole Europe, with very strong support from Sweden, and really there are people who are working either in the sector, like really on the construction manufacturing sector, but also in the R&D departments and different organization developing the concept of the digitalization. So we bring the knowledge together, and we are doing the proof of concept on the different projects. So now going to the topics, I would like to talk about what is the potential of BIM and business opportunities, in fact, for the manufacturer, how we understand BIM. So for us, we see this as an enabler for the growth. And we see that this will be really, focused on the productivity, so that we can do a lot with, on the efficiency, automation in the information workflow, especially focus on the better product data quality. So what we see that there is a room for the data-driven specification, and I will try to show you also some cases already from our field. We see this also as an innovation, because we can provide a systemic approach to the building components, with the focus on the highest standards of conformity, of safety, and property loss prevention for the different market segments. And for us, market segment, we in the manufacturing world, we are really focusing on the application. So it means that we somehow split the buildings in the building components as well. So for us, it's industrial flat roofs, modular construction buildings, ventilated facade, or some passive or energy efficient passive projects. We see this as innovation because as a manufacturer, we have a knowledge how to specify better the system, and how to specify better product in the system that can reach the requirement of the building. And of course, this is one of the enabler for the sustainability, because it also allows to specify the eco-friendly products, and especially for our world, this is about technology, eco-technology, which is like 90% natural and really ecological. But what we see also from other side that still sector of the construction is really underperforming, and when we have a look on on the methods that we are using in the construction, we see that there is not too many changes since Second World War. You can just compare the photos that was taken after the Second World War and with the photos of today from the big construction sites in France, and you see that still we are working the same way. And this is in fact the same about digitalization. You probably know already this scheme. So construction is still considered as the less digitalized construction, as the less digitalized sector. And of course, there is a lot of which is done, and then we can see on the each BIM salons or BIM exposition. But what we see also that there is maybe some fields that manufacturing can help also in this digitalization. And here I will be focusing more that probably we can really help on the phases that we talk about design, on the improvement of the procurement and supply chain, and on site execution in terms of the delivery, for example, kitting of the product to the specific places in the building. So what we see also from our side, that architects consider that and also engineers and contractors, that they will need a really highly collaborative relationship with the building product manufacturers. And this is something which is already ongoing, and this is something that we already see as a, as a demand coming from the markets. So as a group already, not only as Knauf Insulation, but as a group of Knauf, we also decided that we should cover some digital solution for the entire construction value chain. And I think when we talk about this, so our approach is to have also the feedback from the markets to be sure that what we proposing to the market reach the demands from the market, reach the requirements from the market. We doing as a manufacturer, we're doing also a lot of studies, and we are really following the trends in the market. So we are checking also which countries are more and more, involved in the BIM, and what are the projections for the use of the BIM. For us, it's important because then we can really see also country by country when we should provide more support in terms of BIM. BIM consulting, and also product data information to BIM. With Construction Products Europe, this is also one of our organizations that we as a manufacturer part of this. We did also the study also to check what is the trends in BIM, and also what is for us important, that now more and more of the IT providers provide the softwares which are much more data oriented. For us, it's really a good sign, because as a manufacturer, we provide a lot of data regarding product itself, properties of and what we see that there is really a shift from the geometry to data. So if somebody is interested by the study, it's really up-to-date study for all IT providers and softwares which are used in BIM. Please let me know so I can share also the link. As a manufacturer, we are following standards, and standards are very important in our activity. So we have been looking also for the standards of BIM, and as you know, in 2020 there was 2 standards that was released, and which are really impacting ourselves as a manufacturers, because those standards are for objective, are for aim to provide a common language in design process and production, which will be also allow us to ensure one language across country, division, and all market actors. And the second one is which is 23387, is giving for data exchange and for the check of the compliancy towards building regulation, cost control, and environmental impact. And what we see is already that we should really be ready to use the standard for our product data information in the future, allowing to exchange of the information between stakeholders, between manufacturers and stakeholders on the process design construction process. So knowing that the standards are released, we also double check also with the countries. And we see also that governments are reinforcing the BIM mandates. So this is for us also one of the trends that we are really following very seriously and trying to be part of this. What we see also that there is no too much interaction yet, between ourselves as a manufacturer and stakeholders from the construction process, but this will come because of those elements that I mentioned before. So from our point of view, there is really a change which is really impacting ourselves. So from analog to digitally enabled decision, which is very, very high now in the detailed design phase. We see this also during the tender phase, that there is more and more digitally enabled decision comparing to the past, and also the purchase of the material and the delivery. So somehow we see this change came already a few years ago, and which really impacting our way to market, let's say. So having this, this context, having this understanding what's going on, having this understanding of market itself, what we are doing. So as a manufacturer, what is important for us is in the scheme of BIM, the first major indicator of interest about our product or system or solution is for us is really that our BIM content is available, a download, and shared with the stakeholders of the design process, and that we are able also to provide professional support to architects to integrate the information about our product/solution into the model and to allow to do the correct specification, which really, as I said, meet the requirement of the project. We know also that 80% of the specification are based on design, and we know who are the stakeholders that we should really approach. So, in fact, in terms of the decision of which product will be used in the process. So, what we see, the architects is our main focus, especially for the non-residential project, and the same for the owner, investor, and installer. Only mostly for the residential application, like for example for the pitch roof, which are much more for the home, for the individual buildings available. So for many years already, we have been working on delivering different solutions in the BIM. So this is one of the examples that we have done already 10 years ago in Slovenia. So providing already the systems, but also based with some information, including system for external facade or the partition or the murs. Some of our countries deliver also not the classical catalog of the project, but the catalog which allow also to download the BIM formats. But what we also notice, and I think this is the question that we were asking ourselves, are we really keeping up with engineering and CAD trends? And in fact, what we notice that it is not really, even if we propose to the market a lot of the BIM content, our content is really product oriented, and it's not really visible in the tender stage. Our data is not structured and it's not up to date, and this is somehow seen also as expenses for ourselves. So we don't see the positive ROI on the investment, even if we spend a lot of money, to put our object in the different BIM libraries, and we have some additional cost for the hosting them in the BIM libraries. So we have a lot of BIM content, but somehow we don't see that it brings us some value also, and some better collaboration. So what we said that, okay, so what we should do probably, and this is also the question to all of yourself, how we can really work on this, that product data information and including the solution in BIM, it's really useful for yourself. So what we see that we from our point of view, what we see that this library of our objects, of our product or solution in BIM must be somehow visible on our website, as a website really considered as the source of trust that should allow also to do some calculation of performance and different simulation online to have this data-driven design support for decision making, that should use some filters for the product availability, different parameters, attributes, or the different BIM uses. Good to know, or great to know, to have also classification and link to naming convention according to the project, that will allow automatically generate the BIM object and allow to get the feedback of the object and somehow update to the new solution. So it's really nice to have what we are trying to do also in our site. What we noticed that since 2 or 3 years, as I mentioned already, we see that now the product itself, like a geometry, is less important. It should be somehow supported by the data, and this is really data and documentation, which is now the source of which is now the most important to get with the BIM object. So as a Knauf installation, we are developing the solution, different solution for the systemic approach to BIM based on the system that we certified. This is the example of the certified system for the flat roofs. This is global certification, which give the opportunity for the investor also to get some additional decrease of the insurance for the project. And we provide these systems ourselves in BIM format. So we have the application, web-based application, which is called BIM Factory, which allow to specify the roofs, and it could be between steel deck, structural concrete deck, and very soon a timber deck, and which allow also to specify roof components. And the roof components, it's not only our product, so Knauf insulation, they are components from others manufacturers. So what we are doing, we are working with the others manufacturers together, and we provide a specific systems, like the combination of our product and their product, with to meet the specified also roof requirement. So we have the possibility to choose the value of the U of the roof, and also some filters regarding product properties. And you will get by the end the systems that are validated by ourselves, and allowing you to download the files in IFC format, or for those who are using Revit or Archicad format preferring, so for free, for in two formats and one standard of IFC. I'm not sure if I need to share the video, but if you are interested by this kind of the solution, which is really ready to go the solution, I can also share the link. It's available on our web pages, how to use BIM Factory for the projects. For another example, as a company, what we are also doing, we are providing the BIM consulting, and this is very well developed in some countries like Netherlands, which was the pilot market for the BIM consulting due to the high BIM penetration rates. And the idea is really to provide the variants for the solutions, I mean applications or walls or other systems in the building for BIM, and it's the offer very mostly focus on the installer needs. So once they have a BIM model, they want to have the variants of the different products that we provide the consulting and BIM models of the specific BIM building component. So this is with the application. This is also web-based planner suite, Knauf planner suite, and which will be also delivered to each entity of Knauf, so including Knauf insulation. So this is about the solution that we have already, and that we already switch in the solution from typical geometry approach with to the approach of the geometry plus data. But what next? What we see that having or being the owner of the product information, we can include it somehow easily in the building information, and we can combine with the supply chain. So this is the work that we are trying to do with the different organizations, including buildingSMART International, but mostly with digital supply chain, how we can make it happen. So how we can find this digital collaboration and this digital connection. So make it real, not only on the paper. Why for us is so important to be part of this work? Why? Because we see that it will be big changes in the distribution. So the direct distribution will transform the sector that we are working in, building materials, by 2030, so very soon. And so it will be for us, in fact, more and more important to work in the direct sales to the contractors, developers, and architects. And we will have somehow limited role of the wholesaler and retailers. And we will also, as a manufacturer, own customer relationship and collect the customer data. This is because there is a lot of changes in the technology, a lot of systems that are part of the, of our scope. So like, Salesforce, for example, that we are using. And so somehow we see that it's changing our way to market, and we should be prepared also to work better with all professionals. And we know also that all technical data, which will be not shared via PDF and so on, but which will be shared really in the let's say digital way. So knowing that, somehow we see that our product, which are not much more seen in the tendering phase, then they will somehow, the information about product will come earlier in the process. So it will be really some switch from the tendering to the design development process. So somehow we will support this BIM curve, to put all of the effort earliest in the stage. The issue or the concerns that we have, and this is also somehow the work that we are doing, is that there is no easy connection between building requirement and the product requirement. Why? Because the use of the information, the requirement are different. So somehow in the process, we need to find a link between building regulation and product requirement. Product requirement is mostly about certification, harmonized standard, classification standard, test standards, and how we link this with the building regulation, which are also different for each countries. So what we see that the main maybe not barriers, but something that barriers today, to have this digital collaboration, is that we should deal with the product data exchange formats, classification standards, and identification standards. And this is why we need this kind of collaboration between different organizations working together. And this is why we need also understand how we can do this in the practical way. So probably for those who have seen the presentation last year of Christer Green from Sweden Wood, we show already this slide, but this is something which is like the most important to understand, that there is two lines. So one line is really for the construction, which is the line showing the process in the construction from pre-study, planning, tender, transfer, change, and liquidation of the building, let's say. And we have something similar as a process from our production, which is coming from how we get the raw materials, distribution, construction, usage, dismantling. We see that there is a lot of points that we can exchange of the information. But to exchange the information, we need to combine different standards. So the standard from the buildingSMART, the standard that I mentioned on the beginning, for the common language, and the standard from the GS1, which allow us to identify the product during the whole supply chain. And somehow this connection is possible to be done via something that we call data template for the exchange of the properties of the product, and which include the information, the identification of the product, which we via GTIN, which is the most common identification number from GS1. So this is like a schema that is from one of our colleagues also working in a digital supply chain environment, that we have standards, we have the properties of the solution / product, and we have data template, and all is about how to find the correct data template for the different use cases that we have in the process. So of course we understand this data template needs. We understand also that there is a lot of benefits. I just listed some of them. That, for example, for planners, it will allow to do the iterative check of the system option. That it will allow also to choose of the specific system, so we can go from the generic to the specific one. It will allow, among others, to do also the direct digital order of the system, of the building system. For the contractors, it will be shorter bidding process, little amount of non-specific information in tender documentation, update and track contractor compliance checklist. And for ourselves, it will be, so for the manufacturers, it will be direct specification of product attributes in generic/specific models, digital reception of orders, product tracking during life cycle of the project. So just to give you the understanding, I don't know if there was another explanation. So what we're trying to also to do as a manufacturer is to really understand how we can implement the GS1 standard in our way. So somehow understand how we can use the identification keys provided from GS1 to find our product during supply chain, and we consider this as a main focus for us today, because this is globally unique, and this could be the keys of GS1 can be shared between organizations and really increase the supply chain and product life cycle visibility for all partners and the stakeholders. So maybe just so the use case of for example, for the Knauf installation, one of the use case what we are working now today is just to showing you that in the current process, when we had the developer planner in very schematic way, manufacturer, construction company, and users, so Knauf's insulation or other manufacturer, we are standing just here. So we are really on the phase of the construction already in the process. Somehow, with the exchange of information, with the identification of our product, we will be able to bring the information in the earliest phase of the process, and with the exchange of the information of data flow will be possible for us to bring the specific solution for project that meet the requirements of the project. So we will be able to bring our knowledge earlier in the process. And this is what is about, in fact, how we can become, as a manufacturer, partners for the different stakeholders. And to, for example, on this specific use case, we are working with the planner, and we are working with the construction company to find the way how we exchange the properties, or which of the properties of the product from the building component are important on this stage. And we are doing, for the moment, the mapping of the different solutions for the exchange of the information physically. And so this is one of the topics, ongoing topics. We have another source of projects working with them with Luxembourg, when we are also trying to understand how we provide the properties of our product to allow the kitting of the product in the construction logistics center, that by the different elements of the buildings, how we can provide in kits our product and exchange digitally the information about product itself to make this logistic more efficient in terms of time and cost. Okay, so just like a key takeaways from our point of view, the standardized product data are the enabler for a whole construction sector. And identification of key product properties for tender procedure, investors agreement, facility management time is necessary, and product availability, efficient supply chain is a must. And this is something that we can, of course, develop, somehow ourselves, but what we need is really to have a discussion with the contractors, with all of the stakeholders of the process, to provide our product data information in the way that it fits with the requirements. So this is somehow also like a call for the biggest participation exchange to get those demand from the market, to also to exchange the experience. Thank you very much. I think I was shorter that I have a time. This is my natural way of speaking.
Yeah, that was great, Magda. No, thanks very much. Your timing was excellent. If you would like to we'll take some questions that have come in a moment. If you want to just turn your camera off down the bottom and try restarting it, because actually at the moment you've frozen. Was one of the things I noticed. So yeah, no, it's not. We can have a picture of you coming up on screen, but I think at the moment your camera's not quite working as it should be. But never mind, we can still hear you. So if you're happy, let's look at some of the questions that have come in. If anyone wants to raise any further questions to Magda, based on the excellent presentation she's just given us, please add them into the comments area. There's one here, Magda, that's coming from Edgar. Thank you, Edgar. He basically says, one observation based on experience in the Netherlands, in the design phase, we cannot specify a brand rather than a performance. But if I specify an installation value of 3.5, there will be more than one manufacturer. Later, the contractor will even start to discuss or challenge that. Is that something that you're seeing in the work that you're doing, that the need to be able to specify brands rather than performance of products is something that needs to be developed?
I think there is one part is, yes, we cannot specify a brand, and this is not our objective to specify a brand in the design phase yet. I think because this is even by the law, it's not possible, in fact. So we have also somehow included in the conversation also this legal requirement also, how we can specify, because this is something. But what we can do, we can specify the system which is generic one, and this is the use case that we are developing with, that I showed you just before. Generic, and when it's possible to specify, so of course we will compete somehow, so it will not replace, let's say, the classical way, but somehow we can maybe avoid some big mistakes, that for example it must be mineral wool instead of other insulation product, without just talking about brand name, but already that we are talking about mineral wool, which was, for example, greenfield project, that the mineral insulation was changed, and in fact it was provoking a big fire, and so somehow we can avoid some cost problems by the end of the project or something in the future.
So actually, that's not something that's currently expected.
Yeah, what we are doing, it's really, we want to specify the components, generic one, and saying, okay, this must be insulation with the value of, and then we get the value, not branding, but how somehow we can maybe add some others requirement in terms of the environment, for example, environmental impact, that in the latest phase allow us to choose the best product. And I see this like this, that will be like going top down, so some kind of like a sandwich, from the generic then to more specific and to more specific. But the requirements, because you have a lot of products, so you need to choose the best best type of product, like for example, I don't know, then brand itself. And this is not our main focus, that we will push the branding we'll push, for example, mineral wool instead of other insulations.
Understand? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, keep the requirement generic and well, specific to the requirements, but generic in terms of the products or brands that could meet those requirements, and then you'll get a number of options that you can focus in on later, I guess, in the process when you choose the products that you're going to go with. Edgar also added another observation. It seems that Hilti has been able to create a positive return on investment for their fixtures and hangers business.
Yes, and good. I think they are very good, but it's also somehow connected to, I think, to the way how they sell their product. They have models that they are selling directly to the construction job site, which is not the case for us. So, and this is, I think, the strength of Hilti, and I'm really in the admiration of this company in terms of the development of BIM, and I knew some colleagues from Hilti. So probably they manage this. I think for us, I think this is really depending on what kind of product you're manufacturing. But for the insulation, we have very how to say, I don't want to be seen as not humble, but we are really sold out as a whole company doing the insulation. So in fact, BIM was considered as very important in the past, but it was nice to have. Now we see that it will be important in the future, because we see this digital impact of exchange, and as I mentioned, of the trends. Hilti, I think they have used, this opportunity. They have this direct relation with construction project, with the job site, and build on this. And this is really great what they did. Sorry.
So it sounds like Hilti have, as you say, they've managed to develop it in a practical way that's brought value to them and to others. That's really good.
It is a really combination of I think, commercial work, and I think this is one of the companies from the manufacturing sector that I see that they really switch already, to the systemic approach to their product. So they propose the solution in the BIM way, and they have done this already a few years ago. So they are really good on this.
Excellent, thank you. And another question that came in while you were presenting, you may have answered this in your presentation when you talked about IFC and or BSI standards and GS1, but does IFC need developing for a specific IFC for products, or are there already other product classification systems available that can be used in collaboration with IFC?
This is what we are trying to understand, really. So as I'm saying, because we came from the manufacturing, not from buildingSMART, area. So in our use cases group, we have some projects that we're trying to understand, how we should use IFC for us. So this is like under investigation. So if you can, I hope you can help us on that. In fact.
Yes. I'm sure that, as you say, that BSI and GS1 and others working together will hopefully come up with an answer in that space.
We just started, so I think this is the main step that we should do, and this is what our small working group. There are two colleagues, trying to understand this. If we need something else or it's enough.
Super. We've had a few more questions in the last few minutes, so thank you to Dan. Dan says the GS1 GIAI can be supplier or brand specific, but as long as designers use standardized window, door, envelope and equipment schedules and Uniclass 2015, then later the trade contractors can add the GTINs for the suppliers as they are appointed via their procurement system that must provide products equal or better to the performance of the prescriptive specification. So just adding to what you were saying in that I think that conversation about when and if you can sort of select specific brands. Anything you want to say on that, Magda?
No, for me, what I'm saying, this is about how we really manage the synergy between stakeholders and how we try to find this the best use of what. Our use case subgroup is also to understand, for example, this topic, and to say, is it enough or is it not enough? What we should change. So do provide some recommendation, where we are today and what is necessary to change or to adapt. And I think what I discussed this connection, it's not easy to do because we have somehow structuration of data in the different ways, and this is, I think, the main problem. And this is maybe specific to the sector itself. So
that's great. Thank you, Magda. And Radboud, hi Radboud, was responding to one of Edgar Vesterhoven's comments earlier. He's saying, Edgar, within the specification, Stabu, you can, but not for all contracts. Currently, Knauf has updates, specifications you can apply. I think that's when Edgar was asking about the whether you can select brands, as it were, at what stage in the process can you select specific brands.
Yeah, but in which stage? I think the question was on the stage where you know specific, if it's so maybe it's country oriented. It was Radboud by okay.
Yeah, Radboud added that as well. Within private sector, you can pretty much do what you want or ask for specific products. Government projects need to be neutral. We do have the or equal principle where performance is the key.
Yes, so this is our I think shift what we have done in Knauf, that this is not really, it's really about performance of the system, right, on the beginning. So today what we are proposing is really when you choose the system, but already that we try to develop something that is like a combination of the different products. But when we talk about this use case, that we try to bring this product data information is really focused on the performance either than branding.
Yeah, thank you. And I think the last comment, Dan, picking up on the conversation about Hilti, he says Hilti use their digital capability to make themselves popular with their end users via their apps. Cemex are doing the same via their Cemex Go like apps. So I suppose some manufacturers.
Thank you for the insight.
Yeah, sounds like some manufacturers are ahead of the market, shall we say, in terms of how they can promote people to use their products.
I think also if I can promote digital supply chain, I think this is also the place that we're showing also the best practices from others, colleagues, and to showing what is possible, because somehow the idea is really, how we can progress, together, and this is, by bringing the experience, showing, expertise that we can do this and we can digitalize finally, those processes.
Indeed. That's all the questions. Some comments and thanks, Magda. Thanks from Sean Dennison. Russo says thank you, as does Edgar and Dan and several others. So,
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for presenting today, Magda. That was, as always, excellent presentation. Really thought-provoking on this topic. It's good to see some of the developments that are taking place in this space. That is everything today from Product Room on this particular session. Please join us later this week for further Product Room sessions. And if you go to the agenda, you'll see whatever sessions are taking place both today, tomorrow, and on Friday morning. But thank you very much, Magda.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
See you again soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.